All right, hi. Welcome to our music review show kind of thing. I'm Stratton, and that's Parker.
I'm Parker.
So, what we wanted to talk about on this episode review discussion is Counterparts' newest album, "You're Not You Anymore." Disclaimer: we're both huge Counterparts fans. Like, I got this hat. You can't really see. I actually bought this hat. Well, I'm just gonna be bragging here for a second. I bought this hat after I got one at a show and I lost it.
Yeah.
So I bought it again.
I remember that.
And then I have another hat, the tan one that I bought. Yeah, we're both big Counterparts fans.
It on Spotify, it's always in my top 5.
Recently played.
Yeah, recently played. It's always in the top 5. Always. And it never has lowered. I listen to it at least once a day.
Well, are we talking about "You're Not You Anymore" or just Counterparts?
Just Counterparts in general.
Okay.
Although I've been listening to a shit ton of new albums since it's come out.
Yeah. So I just really wanted to touch on what we like about it, why we like that, and then how we think it compares, which I know is hard, to their older stuff. And for me personally, I didn't really listen to them with Prophets and The Current Will Carry Us. I've listened to them, but I started listening to them right after Hell and Home.
Yeah,
which honestly was a great jumping off spot.
Yeah, that was my first album for them as well.
So that's really what I'm going to be comparing them to, especially since Brendan himself has said he doesn't like playing some of the stuff off those albums anymore, especially live, because they're either too long, not as fun, or he doesn't really agree with them anymore. So I think it's kind of really interesting. But so that I wanted to base them mainly off of their two most
Tragedy and
Hell and Home. Yeah. So Parker, what do you like about "You're Not You Anymore"?
I mean, I know this is, and I'll go deeper into detail, but really on the surface, it's a Counterparts album. And that's
all right, we're done. Wrap it up.
I mean, if you like Counterparts, then you're gonna like this album. I mean, it's just Brandon.
Brendan.
What did I say?
Brandon.
God damn it!
How you call yourself a fan?
I was technically right. I just missed a word. Braden.
Oh, you missed a word.
I mean, a letter. Thank you, Braden.
Did a spit take there. Good thing it's flashes right there.
To me, it's the lyrics because, as you know, I've only been into metal and stuff for maybe, how long have we lived together? 4 years? 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, it was about late 2014,
yeah,
2015.
So I'm still relatively new to the genre, but I love poetry. I love words, and so that's what initially turned me on to this band, because I was still not a big fan of metal.
Excuse me, it's hardcore.
Shut the fuck up.
Plebeian.
No, but when you first showed me, I think the first song he played for me by them was Compass and then Decay.
Sounds about right.
I mean, I liked it mainly then for the lyrics, because I was still not a big fan of the heavy-handedness of it. And then I eventually grew into love them instrumental.
Oh, it's fantastic. Instrumentally?
Instrumentally.
Yeah.
I grew to love them there as well. And now I'm pretty much just love them all over. But to me, it's the writing style. It's very, very dark, but at the same time, it has a glimmer of hope.
Well, that, and even if it is dark, it's beautifully written.
Yeah,
it's
where
gorgeous.
you don't even care. It just hurts so good.
I encountered someone in a bar recently who their boyfriend really liked Counterparts. I was wearing a hoodie as well as a hat. And I was like, "Oh, so do you like Counterparts?" Like, "Oh no, I like their sound, but I don't hate myself enough."
Oh yeah, no. Brittany, my girlfriend, that's her main thing. Is she's like, I don't hate myself enough.
You don't have to hate yourself enough to
that's
appreciate it.
She's like, it just makes me want to die, and I'm like, I mean, to teach his own. I mean, it does hurt. Some of the songs really make you think and can really depress you. But I mean, I just like that. I like dark writing, and
so edgy. So what would you say your favorite favorite song is?
I've gone back and forth recently. That's usually how I am with them. I'll go like a week, which is like listening to one song, and the next week I'll choose a completely different song.
That's fair.
But You're Not You Anymore, the title song, was probably my first one that jumped out at me in the record one.
Intro, the bridge, and the outro.
It just all comes together so beautifully. And now it's Haunt Me is probably my go-to now on that record. Mainly the end is because I don't know because I haven't really studied the albums together to like figure out if this is a common, but especially in You're Not You Anymore, it starts quiet and then you just have maybe like a single guitar and then you have Braden just come in so hard. But no, like Haunt Me, like at the very end, like you just have this single guitar and then all of a sudden you just have him come in with that heavy lyrics, and it just gets me every time.
So the lyrics and the delivery are both very powerful. Yeah. It's like he wants to come in and shout these words in your face very passionately, while also like scaring you, but also trying to make you feel something besides fear.
Emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
Emotions.
I think that's a good. I would agree. Personally, I definitely have gone back and forth. For a while there, it was Bouquet, just because it was.
Yeah,
it harkens back more towards Tragedy in Hell and Home. I think more than
it's really dark. It's really
just like the sound. I think harkens more back towards the other ones more, because I'd say that this album is definitely. I mean, like we were just watching an interview with Brendan for Warped Tour, saying that they want to write more bangers, and I would agree that it's a lot more fast paced. It's shorter. It's heavier. Like the other ones, I might say is more hardcore punk or punk hardcore, punk core, whatever the fuck. Who cares?
There's
get into
so
semantics.
Many different subgenres now.
But this one is definitely more metalcore. It's a lot heavier. They have harmonizing guitars. There's a lot more like squeals. And you saw that post. One of the best blecks in an album last year.
I agree. I completely.
See, to fantastic.
Me, when I first got into metal, that was my favorite part. Those songs when they just like it's so dirty.
Yeah. It's the dregs of a breakdown.
It's so great.
Definitely start out with Bouquet because, I
have to say I'm drifting away from Bouquet.
I get that.
I started out loving it, and now because most of the time what I do is when I'm in the car, I just put all their songs on shuffle.
Oh yeah.
All albums, and I'll just go through them. And I have to say, recently, every time Bouquet has gone up, I've instantly.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. That's blasphemy, my friend.
I mean, I listened the shit out of it. I
mean, me too. When the single came out, it was almost all I listened to.
I think it came out right before 2017 ended, and it still ended up being like my third most listened song in 2017 on Spotify, where they give you that list.
Yeah.
It came out like a month before 2017 ended, and I listened to it so much within that month. So I don't hate the song. I'm not saying I'm just drifting away from it right now because maybe I'm burnt out, and it is to me, and this is just me, it's really dark, and like I just didn't want that right now. I mean, the whole album has its moments, but to me, it'd be
like Rope.
Yeah, yeah. Oh God, Rope.
No, I definitely agree, but. Even if it's not the lyrics, I like the structure because even in the interview saying that a lot of their older songs are more like parts put together and less of a sum or a whole. And while the new songs, I definitely like they're much more. There's a stronger arc towards them. It's not like arc, shudder, random time signature, and then the end of the arc. I kind of liked the more sporadic nature of stuff like Collapse, Burn, just stuff like that where randomly comes in and hits you in the face, and then all of a sudden it pulls back, and then it comes back at you again, that kind of stuff. So I mean, even if it's the lyrics not of Bouquet, then it's the style of the song itself. But after Bouquet, I started really liking No Servant of Mine, because that one is fucking good. That's a good song right there, dude. It's just so
that moment at the end that like perfect like mosh moment.
Oh,
where it just gets me every time. Although speaking of mosh moments, I still think "You're Not You Anymore" has the best one at the end, where all of a sudden it just goes insane. Like I want them to play that live.
But my favorite song currently.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's probably "Swim Beneath My Skin" because I absolutely love the line, "I won't let you drown inside me." I'm just kind of like, it's kind of like for me, whenever I hear "Make My Skin Your Sanctuary," like I just get chills. I'm just kind of like, that's such an edgy but beautiful line.
It's to the beat gorgeous. Of my blood.
Or "Drag Your Feet Across the Tops of Trees," like stuff like that.
And knowing the weight will support you and your complications. We could just have a show where we're just quoting lyrics.
Yeah. No, I definitely say that. And then "Memory Misread" is also really good. But "Swim Beneath Thy Skin" is at the moment one of my favorites. Before "You're Not You Anymore," what was your favorite album?
I've gone back and forth. It used to be the difference between Hell and Home, but I think Tragedy Will Find Us is probably it's still probably my favorite at the moment. I still find myself going to that album more than anything, just because I love Collapse, I love Stillborn, I go back to that moment when we saw them at Gas Monkey, and in the middle, like the right before the breakdown of Collapse. Was that the first time, or was it the one where we were outside?
Outside,
on that
the outside one.
Yeah,
when we're in the middle. There was a good number of people at that show who weren't there for Counterparts. No. It was like Pacific that they were there for.
Yeah, that and you could tell, not so much.
You could tell Movements was there at the.
Yeah, you did. You did see them.
I came after, which I kind of regret because now I love them.
Yeah, no. Did you have
different thing. There were definitely people there that didn't know them Counterparts almost at all, but who were crazy into it. And that's like, I had a really long-winded post right after that on Instagram about like how much one of the reasons I love this band is because the energy they put out. I'm a big energy person. It's one of the reasons I like metal, hardcore, that kind of stuff at concerts is because there's so much energy going back and forth. If it's a good one, there's so much energy going back and forth that everything just melds into one.
Yeah. I think that's what made me fall in love.
New age as possible.
I think that's what made me fall in love with metal too. I think my first metal concert was Counterparts, and like I just fell in love with that energy because I hadn't seen anything like it. Because before I really got into metal, I was into like indie, like real like mellow indie stuff like Chill Step and all that. So it's like my first concert where it was just that much energy just going around, and I absolutely fell in love with it.
There's always been a phenomenon that I've noticed because Burn is usually played pretty close to the end of the set list where I'll for a while there, like I'll go absolutely fucking crazy and then relax, and then I'll start kind of like walking out to go get a drink or something, and all of a sudden I hear the intro riff to Burn. This has happened literally every single time I've seen them.
Remember, we had to run back.
I sprinted back. It was I can't not hear Burn.
I think we did it twice. I think we stepped away.
Was it Choke or Thieves that they played?
It was Choke.
Okay.
I don't think they did. Did they do Thieves?
They did. They definitely did Thieves. So then it might have been Thieves, but
okay. I just remember there was twice where we were almost like a ways away, and we just heard that riff, and both me and you just not even speaking to one another that this was okay. We just instinctively both just turned around and just ran.
But anyway, Tragedy is probably your favorite then?
Yeah. No, it's still probably my favorite.
See, I'm really torn as to where I stand on that because they're all so different. Tragedy has some of my, as a guitarist, has some of my favorite guitar parts probably of almost all time, not necessarily because they're crazy licks and it's a great solo. I mean, God bless Randy Rhoads, may he rest in peace. You know, all that shit. I just did inverted cross on accident. But because of the complexity and what it adds to the song melodically, mainly because the songs are kind of disjointed, like we were saying earlier, where they're like part. So each part has its own unique flavor to it. Hell and Home, I feel like is.
I mean, it's just so hard.
It really is. Hell and Home might be a little bit more raw, and I really like that aspect of it. It doesn't sound as well put together. I mean, it does, like, producing wise, like it's mixed really well. It sounds like a coherent, well-produced album, but as in the emotion behind the lyrics, like in a Ghost, like in Debris, like everything is just so punch in the face. And like the end of Debris, it's like I tried my hardest I could make you feel a fucking thing, and just ends on that upstroke on the guitar. Like that was raw as fuck. And then Decay, always. That's
I know they
an
will
all-time
never
favorite.
play that live. I know they will
really
not,
want them to.
but I want them to so bad.
It's like wanting to see Touche Amore play a nonfiction. They're not going to,
but you
want them to.
No, you're good. I'll let you.
Well, I was just saying, like, comparatively, I think You're Not You Anymore is a step in a wonderful direction. I have not been as excited. I just got chills. I had not been excited for an album like I had been for You're Not You Anymore in a while. Like, as soon as anything newsworthy came up, I was listening to a song. Like the minute I heard that it was up on like a metal.com or something.
I remember that. Second, you sent it to me almost immediately.
So I mean, I think it's a fantastic album, and it is definitely up there as one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, and me and you talked about this. I want to say right before it came out or right after it came out, we were talking about how, like, sometimes you see with bands, especially the more heavier bands, that as they go on, they don't get worse. They just
chill out.
They chill out or change direction or all that. I mean, just a good example, Bring Me the Horizon.
And 100th.
Yeah, but like Counterparts, to me, they're just getting better and better. And to me, like you said, they're getting harder. And so to me, it's like they're doing the exact opposite what most bands do, and which I just think is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I agree. I am really excited to see where they go. I'm excited to see them play this album in its entirety. That was also really cool. Counterparts karaoke. They had a bunch of people.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Seeing Joel from Big as an Ocean sing favorite Counterpart songs was something I didn't know I needed in my life until it happened. And I forget that one dude who sang Burn, but he did a fucking killer job. He didn't know some of the words, but I don't care. It was an amazing performance. So I'm kind of bummed that we didn't get to see that.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to see this album performed live, because I know every minute of it is going to be charged with hellfire.
I had a side note. I didn't know if you wanted it, though, but I was going to say one of my favorite things about
No, go right ahead.
One thing that I especially noticed it in Tragedy.
My butt hurts from sitting on this stool.
But it goes back to previous albums, like it references like previous songs, so you can tell they're drawing connections. Like Choke.
Gotcha.
One of the very last things he says is the compass has been cleansed, and then if you know Counterparts, he's referencing compass. And then in Burn, he's like, we have to swim with no help from the current, which is referencing to their second album. And so I just like how these songs, they don't just exist in a vacuum.
Yeah.
They exist to complement each other, and they continue on the story. Like Compass, he has a completely different. You can tell in Choke, like Choke and Compass are very different songs. Like
very much so.
But they reference each other, and so you can tell like his thoughts about what he was feeling at the time have completely changed. But he's going back to like, hey, that one song I wrote, I'm not feeling that anymore.
Yeah. I keep saying harkens back to, what is that, like the 18th century? What the fuck?
I like it.
I'm okay with it too. But even like in Solace, which is also, I forgot, that's also one of my favorites, honestly, because it's a slow, but it's heavy and drony.
Oh God! When they play that live,
I think I finally found the difference. I live in both my hell and my home.
Oh, there was no reference. Yeah.
Yeah. Like one of the reasons I love Brand New, recent scandals notwithstanding, is the fact that you matured with the band and you saw them actually grow as musicians, as writers. They didn't have the same sound, and while that deterred some people, like it does with me and Dirty Heads, but that's another different thing.
Different show. Different episode.
it was really cool to watch because I don't feel like they ever made a step in the wrong direction. I think Counterparts is doing the same thing. Like they're maturing and growing, and even in that interview that we were watching, saying that this whole album is about growth, even if it is a bunch of bangers that just hit you in the face with just a bunch of heavy guitars and amazing riffs and breakdowns. It's all about growth, whether it's negative or positive. Yeah, which I think is a really cool way to write an album. Yeah. And one thing that I would like to say is that whenever I heard that Jesse Doreen had left the band, I was really sad. And his guitar work or songwriting with guitar writing, whatever, on both those albums are fucking phenomenal. But I was really interested to see that they picked up the guitarist from 100th for that album. But I think the dude's killed it.
No. Again, like, I think I was with you. I was worried when he left. I was sad when he left because he was so instrumental in their sound. And so I was like, oh, man, this new album's going to come out. It's not going to sound like them. It's going to be awful. But it just goes to show you how much talent they have and how much talent they recruit. Yeah. That they really, I mean, it does matter to some extent, but they're just going to be counterparts.
Yeah.
Like no matter what they do, they're going to be counterparts.
So I'm really excited to see where they go next.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a long time to wait because I think I think the average wait time between albums is like 2 years, 3 years.
I mean, that's shorter than Brand New. It was like 7.
Oh yeah, Brand New it was brutal.
What was that? Yeah, Daisy came out 2012.
Are we gonna just drift off?
It's okay. It's part of the show. It's discussion. It's not just bullet point. It's bullet point, sub bullet point, tangent, completely other topic, bullet point.
Dirty heads.
Exactly. It's like a mini podcast.
No, but real quick, have you listened to their new album? It sounds like exactly like their old stuff, like almost exactly.
That's not what I've heard.
Okay, well maybe then that was my interpretation. I thought it sounded like their old stuff.
if they make another Any Port in a Storm, I'll be back on them like anything. But how successful their last stuff has been, I don't see them doing that.
Yeah.
They were on the radio with My Sweet Summer.
Well, because that sounds just so catchy.
It is. It was a catchy song. I've definitely found myself singing it, but that doesn't mean I like it.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I think that is all we have content for. So just like and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. That'd be really nice. Although your view is appreciated enough. If you want to see more of Parker's stupid face, we have other videos that we can link in the end card or the description. There's links in the description below. Follow them if you like. It's your own discretion. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Stay sexy, Chicago.
This world must be a nightmare to live in.
It's my hell.
Are you looking at this door?
Sorry, I was too busy whipping very poorly.
Yeah.